Have you ever made a decision that you had to make, even though it isn't the one that you preferred? We are in Psalm 63 with David, who is in that exact situation. He is in the desert, most likely hiding from King Saul, who would like to kill him, and hiding from his son Absalom, who also would like to kill him. Thus, it is his choice to be in the desert, but it's not his preference to be in the desert. Perhaps as we contemplate our lives, we come to places where we don't prefer to be where we are, but we have to be where we are. Maybe, for example, you're taking chemo right now. You don't prefer to be there. But if you want to be healthful, you need to be there, or a surgery, or living close to caring for your parents, or living close to take care of one of your children who has some kind of need for your help. We are considering today desert experiences, not of our wish, but of our choosing. No one made David go to the desert, to my knowledge. He chose to go there. At the same time, he was there in order to not be in other places that were detrimental to his well-being. Psalm 63, O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where there is no water. That's exactly where he's at, a dry and thirsty land where there is no water. To see his power and glory. That's what he's after. Here in this desert, I'm here because I need to be, but I'm not here because I want to be. I long to see your power and your glory. So I have seen thee in the sanctuary. I've seen your power and glory before, Lord. I want to see that power and glory again because, in fact, your loving kindness, your merciful loving kindness is better than life. My lips shall praise thee. Thus will I bless thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name. David is expressing a sense of confidence in God in the unpreferred desert, but necessary desert of his life. I see opportunities here for development in David's life because in just a short matter of time, he will be enthroned as the king of Israel. And this desert experience, he is developing a total reliance and trust on God for what will soon be a very large assignment. At the same time, the desert eliminates distractions. If all of a sudden you're all by yourself in the desert, you have less distractions from people, less distractions from the actions of group settings. Now, you probably have a little action to avoid a scorpion or a snake or something along that line, but in a real way, the desert experiences that we do not prefer but are necessary. In those settings, we are able to have less distraction and think upon those things which are of great value, of eternal value, permanent value, let's say. So in this unwished for desert experience, but necessary, we find the ability to make choices that go against immediate gratification. Surely David would have preferred to be in the palace. He would have preferred to be in the temple, but he couldn't be. That would have to come later. And I like to say, don't measure in the middle. So how are you today? You can answer from anywhere in the spectrum. You can answer from, man, I wrecked my car this morning. You can answer from, it is well with my soul. You can answer from, my kids love me. You can pick which part of your life you answer from. And uh, we can learn in the desert experience, the unpreferred but necessary desert experience, how to not allow the sections of our heart to distract us from what we really value and appreciate. For example, when I was a child, there was a nurse, Pritchard was her name. My mom said, son, she loves you very much, but it's her job to give you those shots. Not shots, actually, but to draw that blood. And every 2 hours, they put needles in my arms, strapped me down, and I couldn't see that, in fact, she was trying to help me. All I could see was the big needle. It looked like a mile long and about 3 inches in diameter. It wasn't, but that's what it looked like to me. I My hospitalization was a desert I did not prefer, but it was a desert that was necessary for me. And I didn't know how to understand Nurse Pritchard through the lens of what she was doing to help me because I didn't perceive it as help. What is God doing in your life right now that you don't perceive as help? What is someone else doing in your life right now that you don't perceive as help? I know some people that have adequate resources to empower their kids to get nice clothes or whatever, but instead they insist that their children work and get a job and learn how to save their pay. The kid could say, this is a desert. My mom has $100 and all I have is 10. But mom is actually, unbeknownst to the child, developing a skill set. So, in these unpreferred but necessary deserts, what is God allowing? What is God actively doing in our lives that we don't perceive as being beneficial, that we don't perceive as being helpful? David said, "It was good for me to be afflicted." What kind of maturity does it take to come to the place of being able to say, you know what? It was good for me to be afflicted. Affliction is a desert we don't desire. Affliction is a desert that might be necessary, though, as David said, because in that affliction, perhaps the most beneficial part of the desert and the affliction would be humility, because blessed are the poor in spirit. And with that blessing of poor in spirit, that might not come in ways other than the desert that is unpreferred but necessary. Now, when things are stripped away, distractions are gone, we are left with ourselves and God. When these distractions are removed, we are left with confidence and trust in God. Many people say, I'd love to have the prayer life of the Burkinabe. They're in Burkina Faso. What a powerful prayer life. To which I think some of our Burkinabe sisters and brothers would reply, we have no option but prayer. We can't trust savings. We can't trust the store to have groceries. We have to grow our own food. To grow our own food, we need God to give us good soil. We need God to provide rain. We need God to protect the seed. We need God to protect the little plants from being parched by the sun. We need God to protect our crops from birds and other creatures that would like to eat the food that we're growing for ourselves. So sometimes we find ourselves not wanting to go into the unpreferred but necessary desert, which causes a great prayer life to grow, which allows us to develop a deep and abiding faith. So if you're in a necessary but unpreferred desert, join David and say, thy loving kindness is better than life, and embrace the loving kindness of God in the unpreferred but necessary desert.